The food court was buzzing with chatter, trays clattering, and the aroma of fried food hanging heavy in the air. Yet, in the middle of it all, one sound cut sharper than the rest: laughter. Not the kind that warms hearts, but the cruel, mocking laughter aimed at a girl who had just walked in. 3 boys, sitting at a corner table, leaned toward each other, grinning wickedly as their voices carried across the room. "Look at her clothes," one sneered. "Is she lost or something?" another chuckled. The third added, "She probably can't even afford a meal here." Everyone around heard it, but no one said a word. Some shifted uncomfortably, others pretended not to notice. And the girl, new, unfamiliar to everyone, clutched her tray tighter. Her face turned red, not from shame but from something else entirely. She set the tray down carefully, then looked straight at the boys. What happened next silenced the entire food court. Her name was Amira, a transfer student who had only just moved to the city. Unlike the polished sneakers, branded shirts, and trendy hairstyles most kids wore, she came in with a modest dress, slightly worn shoes, and her long hair tied back in a simple braid. She wasn't trying to impress anyone, she was just trying to find her place. But new places come with sharp eyes and sharper tongues. Amira had been bullied before. In her old school, she had spent months eating alone, her quietness mistaken for weakness. She promised herself that this time, things would be different. But standing there in the food court, hearing the laughter, she felt that familiar sting creeping back. The challenge was clear: was she going to shrink into herself again, or was she going to stand tall? The boys weren't done. "Hey, new girl," one of them called out loudly, making sure the whole court turned their attention. "Want us to buy you some real food?" They high-fived each other, roaring with laughter at their own cruelty. Amira's hands trembled slightly, but instead of walking away, she walked closer. Every step she took made the crowd lean in. She stopped right in front of their table, placed her tray down, and for the first time, spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. "You think I'm embarrassed by your words?" she asked, her voice steady. "You laugh at me because of my clothes, but do you know how hard I've worked to be here today? Do you know what it's like to save every coin so your younger siblings can eat before you do? You laugh because you've never struggled a day in your life." The boys froze, their smirks fading. The crowd grew silent. Amira's eyes glistened, but her words carried strength. "I may not have the newest shoes or the fanciest bag, but what I do have is respect for people. Something you clearly don't." Her voice didn't crack. Instead, it echoed across the room with a conviction that was impossible to ignore. One of the boys tried to laugh it off, muttering, "Relax, it was just a joke." But Amira wasn't finished. The lunchroom was packed, voices overlapping like waves, trays clinking, fries disappearing faster than they could be fried. But above the noise, one sound carried louder than anything else: laughter. It wasn't the warm, friendly kind that spread joy. No, this was sharp, cold, and cruel. At a corner table, 3 boys leaned toward each other, pointing and laughing at the girl who had just walked in. "What is she even wearing?" one sneered. "Looks like she walked out of a thrift store," the second mocked. The third grinned wide. "Bet she's never even been to a food court before." The laughter echoed. Students turned, curious eyes darting toward the target. And there she was, Amira, the new girl, standing frozen with her tray in hand. Her cheeks burned. She didn't belong here, not yet. And their words made sure she knew it. Amira wasn't a stranger to humiliation. Back in her old school, she had spent most days avoiding eye contact, keeping her head low, and swallowing her words. Her family had moved often, never staying long enough for her to plant roots. But this time, she had promised herself things would be different. No more hiding, she had whispered the night before. This time, I'll be strong. But now, standing under the heavy gaze of strangers and the stinging laughter of the boys, her courage wavered. She wanted to disappear. To slip out before anyone noticed the sting in her eyes. But then she remembered her younger sister's words that morning: "You're my hero, Amira. Promise me you'll be brave." That promise was the anchor that kept her tray steady in her trembling hands. The boys weren't satisfied with just laughter. They wanted a show. "Hey, new girl," one shouted, loud enough for the entire food court to pause. "Want us to buy you a real meal? Or are you good with whatever that is?" He pointed to her tray, smirking. The others burst out laughing, slapping the table. The crowd tensed. Some students looked away, uncomfortable. Others whispered, waiting for drama. No one expected what Amira did next. She walked toward them. Each step was heavy, her heart thundering, but she forced her chin up. When she reached their table, she set her tray down carefully, her eyes locking onto theirs. For the first time, her voice rang out, clear, steady, and louder than the laughter. "Do you think I'm embarrassed by your words?" The boys blinked, caught off guard. The food court went silent. Amira's voice didn't shake. "You laugh at my clothes because you think they make me less. But these clothes. They've seen me through days you'll never understand. While you were playing games on your phones, I was working nights so my little brother could have school shoes. While you mocked me, I was saving coins just to sit here today." A hush swept the room. She leaned closer. "You laugh because you've never had to struggle. But don't mistake my silence for weakness. What I wear, what I eat, none of it defines me. Respect does. And our